Hi, I'm Kat Tillinghast with West Coast Yoga and Sports Therapy. I'm a yoga therapist, and yoga therapy helps with all types of imbalances, whether it's chronic pain or depression, anxiety. And today we're going to do some yoga poses and some breathing that will help to balance the symptoms and the unfortunate agitation that comes with imbalanced hormones due to menopause. So you don't necessarily have to be menopausal to do this practice. It's just nice and calming and helps to balance the endocrine system. So it is really good for every woman of all ages, but it's excellent for menopause and also excellent for perimenopause. So I'm going to show you the first pose, which is going to actually activate the pituitary gland, which is going to help to balance the endocrine system. I'm going to do child's pose with a block supported. So the idea with the block is so that you can have some energy going into the forehead, pressing, and some weight coming down on that block to activate and stimulate the pituitary gland. And you can have your arms any way that feels comfortable to you. You can have them alongside the body or in front. This is a really great practice to do. I recommend before bed. It's very relaxing. Kind of clears the agitation due to the imbalance of our hormones, our changing hormones. We're going to practice Langana, which is long exhales. So here we can inhale freely and exhale perhaps to the count of 3. We're breathing through the nose. And we can add on by inhaling again freely and then exhaling to the count of 4. And then so on and so on. We can increase the exhale, which is going to bring us into a more balanced nervous system, which is going to release a lot of the agitation that comes with menopause. I'll also do some other breathing practices at the end of this video today that will help you with hot flashes. So I'm sure that you'll be looking forward to that. So the next pose I want to come into is downward facing dog. If you don't have a downward facing dog in your practice, I'm going to recommend that you learn it. And maybe you could come in and out of the pose with breath if you don't feel comfortable holding it. But I'm going to lift the hips up and press myself back. So holding and breathing in downward dog will stimulate all the glands of the endocrine system. Again, this is going to help to balance your hormones. Downward dog is magic to balance hormones. So I recommend that you practice this consistently, hopefully every night, and certainly if you like, more than once a day. So the next thing I'm going to do is a standing pose. This standing pose is going to massage the thyroid and parathyroid, among other things, strengthening the hips. So I'm going to come into Warrior One, stepping my left foot back just about one of my legs distance, spinning my left toes out to protect the back knee, bend the front knee 90 degrees. I'm going to lock my thumbs behind my back and just point my fingertips down to the floor so I get a little bit of a back bend and a heart opener to release that tension in the chest. So when we get agitated or nervous or we're not breathing properly, we tend to collapse in the chest. So a little baby back bend here. Maybe if you'd like more of a back bend, release the arms back. And then just slowly lengthen through the back of the neck as you tilt the head back to massage thyroid and parathyroid. Really breathe. And remember, if you'd like to take longer exhales, it's going to help to calm and balance so that you may sleep better and feel less nervous, less anxiety associated with the symptoms of menopause and perimenopause. And then make sure that you do both sides, always, to balance. And same thing, I'm going to turn my right toes out to protect the knee. And every time we make a movement here, we breathe, open the heart, open the chest. And you can do this practice for 6 cycles of breath. If you don't have time, you can do it for 3 cycles of breath. I'm just going to do a very easy twist before I come into a forward bend, because I like the spine to be sort of neutral. Going from a back bend to a forward bend is a bit much for us. So I'm just going to step my feet a little bit wider and as wide as you like, with soft knees. I'm going to come forward. I'm going to take my right hand and just walk it forward onto my right fingertips and take a little twist. So I'm going to stack my left arm over my right. Maybe look up, inhale. Exhale, look down. If you notice, my knees are soft. We don't have to have straight legs here. And we can do that for 3 long cycles of breath, or 6 cycles of breath if you like. Twisting is very good to balance the endocrine as well. Twisting and breathing. And then from here, I'm going to take a full forward bend, remembering to keep my belly muscles squeezing so that I'm protecting my back. And my knees don't have to be straight, they can be bent, but I want you to drop your head and go ahead and grab onto your elbows. Let your head hang. And when we're in a forward bend, we're massaging internal organs, but we're also calming and balancing the nervous system. Take about 6 long, deep cycles of breath. Come on up. So this is optional. Some people don't like to have an abdominal practice, but to be honest with you, it's very healthy for your back to practice a little bit of abdominal strengtheners. But also, some people just don't realize that it's really nice to do abdominal work because it releases serotonin and dopamine from the belly, which is where it resides, and have it go all the way up to our brains. So as you know, those of you who are dealing with imbalanced hormones, happiness is not always the first order of business. So we're trying to get that balance with some abdominal work, simple ab work, and not necessarily before bed. So maybe just a few things before bed, but more abs during the day or in the morning. So just lying on my back, I'm going to actually lift my hips and place my hands under my hips to protect my low back. Make sure that I don't put any pressure on the low back, and then lift the legs. I'm going to take a deep inhale here. And this time, as I exhale, I'm actually going to shoot the breath out my mouth and lower the legs. Just about halfway. Then I'm going to inhale through the nose and bring the legs back up. And I'm going to exhale. I know it makes a really funny sound, guys, but shoot the breath out the mouth. It empties out the belly. And again, for these abdominals, I might go a little bit lower. But again, we don't want to put any pressure on the low back. And I might do about 12 of these. And then we can switch it up and bring the feet down to the floor. And I'm actually going to tilt my pelvis forward, okay? So this is going to do a little bit of strengthening and balancing in the area of the ovaries, which is going to help to balance the symptoms of menopause as well. And slowly come up, keeping the pelvis tilted. I'm not actually lifted off the floor, but just tilting the pelvis forward, tailbone forward, reach, grab the fingers to the backs of the knees, bend the elbows, lift the heart, shoot the breath out. Inhale through the nose. Lower halfway down. Keep the tilt in your pelvis. Exhale, come up, shoot the breath out. And so on. So if you notice, my movements are very, very small. Very small movements. It's all about the breath. In Pilates, we empty out the breath. In one fell swoop. Let go of that breath. And then you might do 12 of those, if you're strong. And then the last one would be interlacing the fingers behind the neck, curl yourself into a little ball, And twist your right elbow to your left knee. Let the right leg hover, shoot the breath out, and go from side to side. I might do 6 or 12. So one of the ways I like to come out of those abdominals is to do a nice little twist. So I'm also going to add on some pranayama to this twist, which is beneficial to treat hot flashes. So I spoke earlier about pranayama and making sure that we lengthen our exhales and really emphasize the exhales. That's lovely, and that's going to calm your nervous system. But this type of breathing and moving, which massages the back organs, will help to release that bundle of tension that goes on in the endocrine system and the glands in the body that create those unfortunate hot flashes. So we're going to do a little version of Janu Sirsasana, bringing the foot up into the inner thigh and the knee out to the side. So you can also bring the foot further down. So this doesn't have to be hard as long as you don't bring your foot to the inside of your knee. And left toes point up. I'm balancing on my sitting bones. I'm going to inhale and reach the arms up. I'm going to exhale and twist to my left. And maybe just a little bit reach as I come into a forward bend to the outside of my left leg. But this is where I'm going to incorporate the Chitali breathing. I'm going to breathe in through the tongue. So some people can make a circle with their tongue. Those of you who can't do that, there are actually people who are unable to do that. You can just fold your tongue in half and you can still breathe through the fold in the tongue. So I'm going to bring in the breath through the hole in the tongue. That's going to be cooling breath coming in. And I'm just going to exhale out the nose as I naturally would. Forward bend on the exhale. See if I can hold that exhale and maybe turn it into a little bit of a back bend at the same time, getting a Maha Mudra, which is a whole lot of poses in one, which helps to create change. I'm going to go over the same side. From a forward bend to a little bit of an upper back bend here, even just squeezing my shoulder blades together. Come back up. I'm going to at least do this 3 times. Start to exhale as I twist. At least 3 times. And then you want to do both sides. So you can also do 6 times or 12 times on each side, but make sure it's even. You can also do this from a chair. If you feel uncomfortable to do this on the ground, just open the legs wide, forget about the foot to the inner thigh, do the same twist. Same on each side, same amount on each side. If you're wondering, I'm actually holding that exhale before I inhale Chitali. Cooling breath. Exhale through the nose. And that's a nice way to help balance the hormones and endocrine system, and also get us to more of a balanced place so we can hopefully not have hot flashes. So go ahead and roll onto your back and hug your knees into your chest. We're going to prepare for shoulder stand. Actually, I think I'm going to do a safe shoulder stand since we have the blankets, which is lovely. So I'm just going to get a nice little bolster for my shoulders, the blanket. So shoulder stand is going to help to balance the thyroid. I'm going to actually lay on the blanket and make sure that my shoulders are lining up with the top of the blanket. Okay, so you don't want your shoulders going past or before where the blanket stops. And just bring the knees into your chest, get a little stretch. And then if you have a regular shoulder stand practice, go ahead and do that now. If you don't feel comfortable practicing shoulder stand, make sure you learn it. And I'm going to try to keep my feet together
It's hard to talk teaching shoulder stand. Keep my feet together. As I lengthen my legs up to the ceiling, I'm squeezing those shoulder blades. I'm going to start pressing down through the back of my head. Breathing. Remember, shoulder stand helps to balance the hormones through the thyroid gland. And then I'll hold that for about 3 or 6 breaths. And the next pose we want to come into is Halasana or plow pose. You don't have to bring your toes all the way to the floor like I do, but you actually don't want to turn your head at all in shoulder stand or plow pose. There's a lot of pressure on the neck. So I'm just going to let my arms be out straight. Maybe rest my knees on the forehead, again activating the pituitary gland. I'm stimulating the adrenal system, which balances the hormones. Maybe bend the knees alongside the ears if you're flexible. It's just this idea about really getting the organs cleansed and squeezed in. Massaging the glands. And again, 6 to 12 cycles of breath. I'm going to roll out slow. And I'm going to control the rollout 1 vertebra at a time. Really try to control it so you strengthen the whole spine as you come down to your back. And roll to your side to set up for Shavasana. And I love this Shavasana because the way that we have our legs set up in this pose is going to balance the ovaries. Back bend is going to release the pressure. This is where I'm going to lie down. And I'm going to actually have my feet together in Baddha Konasana. As you'll be seeing it from the side. So I'm going to go right up with my low back to the bolster. You don't have to be in Baddha Konasana yet, but I have my feet together, my knees open. I'm just going to slowly lower down. It's going to stimulate and balance the endocrine, the ovaries. I'm really going to concentrate on releasing the breathing here. It's important that in Shavasana you let go of the breath and know that we practice Shavasana to rest the body and to allow the practice to sink into every part of us. Close the eyes. It's also a nice hip opener, and if this is uncomfortable for you, you can actually move the feet further away. So yoga therapy is not about pushing ourselves beyond our limits. And just rest. I like to take Shavasana for about 5 minutes so that we don't end up in a nap. We really want to actually be a little more balanced and more aware and awake from discharging the energy in our bodies so that we can come into a meditation. So I'm supporting myself as I come up to come to meditation. I can use my bolster for meditation. So if you feel like you need some more cooling down in terms of breath, you can actually practice Chitali again. You can practice the cooling breath in the meditation to help with hot flashes, body heat. You can do some more rounds of Chitali. It's nice to use a bolster to meditate. It helps to keep the spine tall. Knees are below the hips. And if you notice, I'm bringing my fingers into Jnana Mudra, which helps with balance, relaxation. Maybe I might do 6 or 12 rounds of Chitali and then come into full meditation.
still keeping track of the breath. So without counting the exhales, see if you can just let your exhales be longer and slower through the nose. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. If our sleep is interrupted by the symptoms of the changes of life, perhaps we could start to visualize a restful night, a calmer day. This practice will help to ease some of the agitation that comes with the imbalance of hormones that create the mood swings. So imagine yourself receiving and transmitting information clearly, concisely, and calmly. Picturing yourself going with the natural rhythm and the natural flow of life, and understanding that you're not a victim. This is not only you that experiences these shifts and changes, but that we all do. Just resting in acceptance of self and the natural rhythm of our lives. I like to meditate for about 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes a day, or at least 10 minutes at a time. And just bring your hands to your heart in gratitude. And bow your head, thank yourself. It's my honor to guide your practice. Namaste.